The United States is the most powerful country on Earth, with the largest military, a $28 trillion economy, and an unparalleled network of alliances. But in 1780, America was a new nation, drowning in war debts, with 13 states operating like separate countries. And the most important founding father who would fix these problems didn't come from nobility. In fact, he was an orphaned immigrant whose hometown was destroyed by a hurricane when he was a teenager. Alexander Hamilton was the ultimate outsider, armed with nothing but his intellect and ambition. How did he solve America's financial crisis and set the stage for it to become a global superpower? Let's find out. Hamilton's journey began in the most unlikely of places, the British West Indies. Born in 1755 on the island of Nevis, Hamilton was the illegitimate son of James Hamilton and Rachel Fawcett. His early life was marked by poverty, social stigma, and tragedy. Orphaned at the age of 12 when his mother died of yellow fever, Hamilton faced a future with seemingly insurmountable odds. Yet, it was a natural disaster that would change the course of Hamilton's life. At just 15 years old, he wrote a vivid account of a devastating hurricane that struck the Caribbean. This letter, published in a local newspaper, caught the attention of community leaders. Recognizing his exceptional talent, they raised funds to send Hamilton to North America for his education, unwittingly setting into motion a series of events that would shape a nation. Hamilton's talent with the pen launched his journey to America, but it was his military prowess that would vault him to the upper echelons of society. How did this young immigrant with no prior military experience become the right-hand man to the most powerful figure in the Revolutionary War? The answer lies in a series of strategic moves that would make Sun Tzu proud. In 1775, Hamilton joined a volunteer militia company called the Hearts of Oak, where he quickly distinguished himself through his natural leadership abilities. His first taste of combat came in August of 1776, when he led his artillery company in a series of battles against the British in New York. Hamilton's rapid ascent through the ranks was a testament to his exceptional talent and unwavering ambition. Within a year of joining the revolutionary cause, he caught the attention of none other than George Washington himself. Recognizing Hamilton's potential, Washington appointed the young officer as his aide-de-camp in March 1777, effectively making him his chief of staff at the age of just 22. The position placed Hamilton at the center of the war effort, where he was responsible for drafting orders, coordinating with other officers, and managing Washington's extensive correspondence. But despite the prestige of his position, Hamilton yearned for the glory of battlefield command. His ambition and desire for military distinction drove him to persistently request a field command from Washington. After years of refusal, Washington finally relented, granting Hamilton the opportunity he had sought just before the decisive Battle of Yorktown in 1781. It was at Yorktown that Hamilton would prove his mettle as a military commander. On the night of October 14, 1781, Hamilton led his men in a daring nighttime assault on Redoubt 10, a key British position. With bayonets fixed and under orders to maintain absolute silence, they advanced on the Redcoats. The attack was executed with surgical precision, catching the British defenders off guard. Within just 10 minutes, Hamilton and his troops had successfully captured Redoubt 10, a feat that significantly contributed to the eventual British surrender at Yorktown. By playing such a crucial role in the British capitulation that effectively ended the Revolutionary War, Hamilton became a hero of American independence. And his experiences during the war profoundly shaped his vision for the future of the United States. He witnessed firsthand the inefficiencies of the Continental Congress and the challenges posed by a weak central government. Those observations would later fuel his advocacy for a strong federal system capable of uniting the disparate states into a cohesive nation. Moreover, his close relationship with Washington offered him unique insights into the challenges of leadership and governance. This perspective would be invaluable in the years to come, as Hamilton worked to shape the economic and political foundations of a new republic. With the war won, Hamilton set his sights on building a nation. But his ideas for a strong central government and an industrial economy were far from universally accepted. Hamilton believed that the central government needed to be strong so that it could keep the nation stable enough to be prosperous. This view, however, put him at odds with many of the other founding fathers, who feared the potential for tyranny in a powerful federal system. They had just escaped the rule of a king. They didn't want to turn around and start their own monarchy. At the Constitutional Convention of 1787, Hamilton's proposals were so radical that they nearly derailed the entire proceedings. He advocated for a form of government that included a limited elective monarchy, a concept that was met with disbelief and outright rejection by the other delegates. But despite the rejection of his more extreme ideas, Hamilton remained a key figure in the creation of the new government. He became one of the primary authors of the Federalist Papers, a series of 85 essays written to persuade states to ratify the Constitution. In these writings, Hamilton articulated the flaws of the existing Articles of Confederation and argued passionately for the benefits of a stronger central government. The core of Hamilton's reasoning was national security. You couldn't raise a big military and arm them without a robust economy. But you're never going to have a robust economy if the environment to do business isn't stable. But Hamilton argued rightly that you're not going to get that from a bureaucracy or a big, sprawling legislature. You get that from a commander. The ideological divide between Hamilton and the other founding fathers, particularly Thomas Jefferson, was stark. While Hamilton envisioned an industrialized nation, Jefferson advocated for an agrarian society with limited federal authority. This fundamental disagreement about the direction of the country led to the formation of America's first political parties, with Hamilton leading the Federalists and Jefferson heading the Democratic Republicans. Hamilton famously stated, "If these states are not united under a federal government, they will infallibly have wars with each other." Hamilton's conflicts with Jefferson and James Madison over financial policy and the structure of government were the first examples of the early partisan conflicts that would come to define American politics. Ultimately, Jefferson and Madison's vision for the Constitution won more popular support. But with Hamilton's persuasion, it did include a powerful executive. The United States won its independence, but it came at a steep price. Drowning in war debts and lacking credit, the nation's future hung in the balance. Hamilton was appointed Treasury Secretary by George Washington at a pivotal moment in history, and his controversial strategies were about to rewrite the rules of national finance forever. And Hamilton wasted no time with a bold first initiative. He proposed creating a public debt, assuming all the debts the states took on during the Revolutionary War. This strategy was designed to establish the United States' creditworthiness and attract foreign investment. Hamilton argued that by demonstrating the U.S. could repay its debts, it would encourage foreign banks to lend money to the new government, providing much-needed capital for growth and development. But Hamilton's vision extended far beyond debt consolidation. He recognized that for the United States to thrive, it needed a robust financial system capable of supporting a dynamic economy. To this end, he proposed the establishment of a national bank, a concept that would prove crucial for managing the country's finances and facilitating trade. The bank would serve as a repository for government funds, issue a standardized currency, and provide loans to businesses and individuals, stimulating economic activity. Hamilton's financial innovations didn't stop there. He implemented a comprehensive taxation system that included tariffs and excise taxes, laying the groundwork for a stable source of government revenue. This system helped to not only pay off the national debt, but to also finance core government functions and infrastructure development. And the effectiveness of Hamilton's policies were transformative. By the time he left office, the United States had achieved a credit rating equal to that of any European nation. His creation of the U.S. Coast Guard to prevent smuggling further bolstered government revenues through customs duties, demonstrating his holistic approach to national finance. Central to Hamilton's economic vision was the concept of implied powers, which he articulated to justify the establishment of the national bank despite constitutional ambiguities. This doctrine would have far-reaching implications for the interpretation of federal authority, shaping the balance of power between state and national governments for generations to come. Perhaps most significantly, Hamilton's financial system created the conditions for a market economy in the United States. By establishing a rule of law through enforceable contracts and respect for private property, he laid the foundation for national prosperity. His policies encouraged entrepreneurship, investment, and innovation across the United States. And the significance of his impact was made clear shortly after he left office. Subsequent administrations, including those of Jefferson and Madison, found that any significant alterations to Hamilton's financial architecture led to economic crises, underscoring the fundamental soundness of his approach. By creating a strong, creditworthy nation with a robust financial system, Hamilton set up the United States to be a superpower. A great French diplomat by the name Talleyrand knew Napoleon, knew all the great generals, and said that Alexander Hamilton was by far the greatest man of his era. Looking back on history, Theodore Roosevelt said, "Alexander Hamilton was the most brilliant American statesman who ever lived, possessing the loftiest and keenest intellect of his time." Despite being such a great man, the last few years of his life were anything but. He was found to have had an affair and made the confusing choice to outline in a 95-page document every detail of the affair and the accompanying blackmail by the woman's husband with whom he had that affair, and then died in a duel with Aaron Burr where he threw his pistol away before the shot was fired. In my first version of this video, I went through those stories in more detail. But that's not the point of the video that I made. It's not the takeaway that I want you to have when you consider the impact of Alexander Hamilton's work and life. He was the most important founding father, and he had a very specific view that was at odds with many of the other men that are idolized for the creation of the Constitution. He was also one of the first people to live out the American dream, going from an orphan in the Caribbean to the highest echelons of society by the time that his life was through. I'll leave you with one last Hamilton quote. "My ambition is so prevalent that I would condemn the groveling conditions of a clerk and would willingly risk my life, though not my character, to exalt my station." Let's hope that there are many more people to come who can realize the American dream. And if they can have just 1/10 of the impact of Alexander Hamilton, they'll be doing pretty darn good. Thanks for watching.